Welcome to UCD Library's introductory video for EndNote 20 for Mac. If you're a Windows user and have found yourself here by mistake, please return to the EndNote guide on the library website, where you can find the correct video. We've included a link to the guide in the description below. In this video, we will show you where you can get EndNote 20 from and how to install it. We will show you how to create an EndNote library and how to add references manually if you cannot find your references online. We'll show you how to add references from online sources such as OneSearch, databases, and even Google Scholar, and how to add references using PDFs you've already installed on your computer. Once you have your references in your EndNote library, we'll show you how you can organize them using groups. And then we will show you how you can take your references using Word and insert them into your work in a Word document and apply your preferred referencing style. While EndNote contains thousands of different referencing styles, we will show you how you can add extra referencing styles from endnote.com, but also we will highlight specific UCD referencing styles such as Harvard and Vancouver. So you can watch this video from start to finish. We have included a guide and a worksheet which are available on the library EndNote guide, but we've also included a link to them in the description below. And you can use those in conjunction with the video. So our advice is to listen to a section and then use the worksheet to work through what we've done to make it more real and tangible for you. So, and then you can continue on again. Alternatively, if you are just looking to refresh a certain part of the procedure and using EndNote, if you look at the description below, you'll see that we have links to the various sections of the video. So just click on the section that you're interested in and you will be brought to that straight away. So how can you get your hands on EndNote 20 for Mac? Well, the first thing you'll need to do is go into UCD Connect and look for software download. Go into there. You may be asked to log in with your UCD Connect details. Pick whichever is the correct option for you, staff or student. When you go in, you'll automatically be brought to the Windows software. So look on the left-hand side for software for Mac. And then scroll on down until you see EndNote 20 and click on the icon on the left-hand side. And when you do, then it'll download to your computer. We're using Chrome here and you can see it down here on the left-hand corner. And then just double click to start the installation process. So how can you create a new library to allow you to start adding references to your EndNote library? So the first thing you do is go to your toolbar at the very top, select File, select New. You'll then be asked to give your library a name. So give your library a memorable name. In this case, I'm going to give it my name. Make sure you remember where you save it. I'm going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to click Save. You can save it to your documents or create a special folder for this work you're doing. Click on Save. And here we have our new empty library. We'll come back to this in a second and show you how to start adding references, but I want to show you an important element of what an EndNote library is. So if I minimize my EndNote library and go to my desktop, you'll see there is my EndNote library. It's called dermot.enl, but there's also an associated folder called dermot.data. The .data folder is where EndNote will store any PDFs or Word documents or Excel sheets that you associate with any of your references. If you're moving your references, or rather your EndNote library, from one location to another onto a USB memory stick, you need to remember to bring both elements of the EndNote library with you, or it won't work. So remember, just bring both of these with you when you want to move your library. So how do you add references to your EndNote library? Over the next few minutes, we're going to go through a number of different ways you can do this, and we're going to start with the most basic way. And this is where you manually add the details to your EndNote library. And this is normally done if there's a reference you can find from an online source. That doesn't mean you can't add it. You just need to add the details. And to start that, you go up to the very top, go to References, New Reference, and this new window will pop up, and you need to start adding your information. But before you start adding your information, you need to tell EndNote what kind of a reference this is. So at the top, there's a drop-down menu with different referencing types. So if you look at the exercise sheet that we've given you here, we have a book. So we need to go back up to the top of this drop-down menu and select book. And the fields will change on the screen, allowing you to put a book in correctly. So let's start off. So the book is The Snapper by Roddy Dial. So the first field is the author. So you can put the author in Roddy Dial. Or you can put it in Dial, comma, Roddy, whichever you prefer. If you're dealing with a corporate author, it's slightly differently. And a corporate author could be something like an organization. So it could be University College Dublin, for example. So if we want to put University College Dublin in, just put in university. So you need to put a comma at the end of University College Dublin, and that will make EndNote display correctly in your Word document at a later stage. If you fail to put that comma in there, it's going to think that Dublin is the surname, and it will display incorrectly in your list of references. So make sure you don't forget that comma. If you have multiple authors for a book or a title or a journal article, just make sure you put each author on a separate line. You can do that just by pressing the enter button. So that's the author in. So the next we want to put the year of publication in. So that's 1990. We want to put the title of the book in. So it's The Snapper. So you don't really need to format the text you're putting in, but make sure you capitalize what letters need to be capitalized. So we know that the place published is London, and the publisher is Secker and Warburg. And when we've done this, we have enough information. So this reference could be cited and referenced using EndNote in any assignment that you have or whatever you're working up. So when you're finished, then you can just click on the little red X. It'll ask you, do you want to save? Of course you do. Click on save. And hey presto, we have the reference in our EndNote library. There are three sections over here on the right hand side. Pardon if my picture is covering them, and they're summary, edit, and PDF. And summary is, like the name implies, it's a summary of what you've put in or the specific reference. So you'll see it gives the information, the snapper, Roddy Dial, the publisher, etc. And we'll also show you what the reference looks like with your chosen referencing style. So there is an almost hidden drop-down menu at the top of that, and that will allow you to select styles. So you can always select another style if the style you want isn't there. And EndNote has access to thousands of different referencing styles. So you pick the one that you wanted. So if you wanted the APA 6, for example, just click on that, click choose, and that new style is now active. So that's how you can put in references into your EndNote library manually. If you want to check that you have made any mistakes or you want to update a reference, you can just click on edit, and the various fields will be listed, and you can just go in, make any changes, and then just click on the save button at the very top. PDF will come into effect later on when we have used PDFs to build up your library. We can show you how you can view the PDFs in your EndNote as well. Next, we're going to show you how you can add references from online sources. The first we're going to show you is OneSearch. So I've gone back to the library homepage. I put in James Joyce as our search term, and I'm going to click on Go. Once I've got my results on the screen, I can select the references I'm interested in. So you'll see beside each reference, there's a number of icons here. The one we're interested in is the one that looks like a folder with a plus sign. Click on this to select the references that you're interested in. I'm going to bring in 3 at this stage. And on the top right-hand corner, it's sort of hidden by my picture. Just click on the large folder and have the number of references you've selected, in this case 3. Once you've clicked on that, it'll display those 3 references. And then you can export those references very easily to EndNote by clicking on the Export to drop-down menu and selecting EndNote. So Chrome bundles those references into a file, and to get those references from that file into EndNote, all I have to do is just double-click on them and then go back into EndNote, and I'll see those 3 references. And once again, if I want to check any of the details, I can double-click on a reference, and this section on the right hand, which you saw earlier on, will open up again. You get your summary. You can drag this up so you can see more information with the referencing style that you've chosen. You can edit to go in and make any changes that you want to, or you can view a PDF if you have associated a PDF with it. So it's very easy to get references in from OneSearch. So it's not just OneSearch you can add references to your EndNote library from. You can do it from most of the databases that UCD Library subscribes to. So for example here, we're going to go out to ScienceDirect, one of our largest journal providers. So they've gone back to OneSearch. I've typed in ScienceDirect, just click on Go, and I'm going to be brought out to ScienceDirect. Just click on the link there in the results, and that will bring me to the homepage for ScienceDirect. And in the keywords box, I'm just going to type in James Joyce, and I'm going to search. And you'll notice this is very similar to what we did in OneSearch. You just select your references. In this case, it's just selecting the references that you're interested in. When you go from database to database, look for a link that says save or export. And here we've got export as an option. Click on that. If the database doesn't clearly say EndNote as an export option, look for an option that says RIS. Click on RIS, and then just as we saw in OneSearch, Chrome is going to save those references in a file, and you can see it down here in the bottom left-hand corner, and it's called ScienceDirect. Then you just click on that, go back into your EndNote, and you'll see those references. So it's the very exact same process as we saw with OneSearch. If you want to view all the references you brought in, go to the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all references. Just click on that and all the references will be listed there. One thing that we should point out to you is that you have a responsibility to check that everything is correct. Don't assume that just because you found it in OneSearch or you found it in ScienceDirect or another database that everything is coming across correctly. So it's up to you to click on the link or click on the reference, and then using the summary tab on the right-hand side to check that everything is okay, and the edit to make any changes that you need to. So it's your responsibility to do that. EndNote is not going to do it. So I cannot emphasize that enough. So we've shown you how you can add references manually, and we've shown you how you can use online sources to bring references in. We have one last way to show you, and this is how to use PDFs to build up your library. So before you do this, make sure you gather all your PDFs into a folder or a folder with subfolders, and then go to File, Import, find where you saved that PDF folder. In my case, it's on the desktop. Select the folder, click Import, and EndNote is going to go and try and find the bibliographic details for all those references. So what EndNote is doing is looking for the DOI, or the digital object identifier, in the PDF to bring in the references. If it can't find the DOI, it won't be able to bring in all the bibliographic information with the PDF. So if you look on the screen here, we've got half and half in our success rate. At the bottom, you'll see the references familiar to what we've seen from bringing in references from online sources or manually. And at the top there, these are references, or PDFs, I should say, rather, that don't have the DOI. So the PDF comes in, but there's no bibliographic information. So those three references at the top, you would have to go and either manually put in the references or search for them in an online source and bring in the references that way. Earlier on, I talked about the PDF tab here on the right-hand side. So if I select one of the references that we have and click on the PDF tab, you can see the PDF listed there on the right-hand side, but obviously that's too small for anybody to read. So I can just click on this square here with the outward arrow, click on that, and the PDF will open up. And you can work your way through that PDF then and read it. When you're finished, then you can just click on the X there to close it, and it'll shrink back down again. So those are the three ways of bringing your references in. They may seem a bit daunting at first, but it's literally just a matter of practice. And that is the key to getting your success out of EndNote, is just running through those processes a number of times until they become familiar to you. So now that we've filled up our library with references, how do we organize them so that we can keep on top of everything? Well, you can use the groups option to subdivide your library up into various groups, and you have complete control over this, whether you want to do it by module or topic. It's completely up to you. So you'll see this says then on the left-hand side, My Groups, and underneath it, My Groups again. So if you right-click on My Groups and then click on Create Group, it'll create a new group. And once again, give it a name that means something to you. I'll give it my name again. And then go back to All References and select your references. So select as many references as you want to put into that group. If you hold down the Command button when you're clicking, you can select references that are not beside each other. And then just click and hold and literally just drag it on top of that group and let go. And you'll see now that that group has got 5. So if I click into that group, only the 5 references that I had selected will be in that group. You can create as many groups as you want, and you can add the same reference to multiple groups. You're not adding multiple versions of the same reference. It's actually just one reference, but it's tagged with the various groups. So groups is a handy way for you to keep on track and keep on top of your references and your research as your library gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So now we've filled up our library, we've organized it, and now we're going to take those references and start adding them to a Word document. When you install EndNote 20 to your computer, it'll add a new menu in Microsoft Word. And if you open up a new blank document and look at the menu bar at the very top, you'll see EndNote 20. So click on that to go into that toolbar, because you'll need to be in there to insert references from your EndNote library. To insert references, first of all, go to where you want to insert a citation into the body of your text, and then click on the Insert Citation icon on the left-hand side. You can do a search. We did a lot of references for James Joyce. Just type in Joyce, click on Search, and you'll get any matching references. Select the references you want to put in. You can select one reference or you can select multiple references. It's up to you. What you need to do when you're using your Mac is use the Command button when you're selecting your references. That allows you to select multiple references. So hold down the Command button, select your references, and then you'll see the Insert button at the bottom of that box. Click Insert, and then you'll see your in-text citations, and at the bottom, you're going to see the references you put in. If you've realized you put a reference in the wrong place or the wrong reference, don't just hit the delete button to get rid of it. You need to use the EndNote toolbar to get rid of it safely. So click on the citation that you want to work in, and you'll notice that it highlights itself in gray. This will tell you that you're working with an EndNote citation. So all you do once you've clicked on that is go back up to the EndNote toolbar, go to Edit and Manage Citations, and it'll list those references. Because you clicked on a specific reference or citation that you want to deal with, it'll bring you to that when you go into here. So if you've got a multi-page document with references all over the place and multiple instances of the same reference, you can go directly to the instance of that citation and work with that. Select the reference you don't want, and then on the right-hand side, you'll see a little square with 3 dots and a downward facing chevron. Click on that and then select Remove Citation. Click OK. And when you go back, that citation that you no longer want to be there is gone. And if it was the only time it was in that document, it'll disappear from your references at the bottom of the screen as well. The flip side of that is also true. If you have an existing citation and you want to put another citation in the same place, click on the existing citation to highlight it, go back into Edit and Manage Citations, go back to your chevron on the right-hand side, but this time go to Insert Citations, and that search box is going to pop up again, allowing you to search for that reference. Select the reference you want to put in, click Insert, and there you have it. Click OK. When you go back into your Word document, that new citation will appear where the existing one was, and it'll appear down here at the bottom in your list of references as well. Other things you can do in Edit and Manage Citations is, you go into it again, you can put page numbers. So if you have referenced or quoted a specific page from an article or a book, you can tell EndNote what page that is. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll see 3 options: prefix, suffix, and pages. My advice is to leave pages alone because it doesn't always work, and go into suffix. And you just write out the page number. So you put a comma first of all, a P and a full stop if it's a single page, PP if it's multiple pages, and your page number, and then click OK. And then you'll see that page number for that citation. You can also change the referencing style. So there's a drop-down menu at the top with a number of citations pre-selected. If the style you want is not there, go to Select Another Style, and you'll see all the styles. So if we wanted to change to Harvard, hit H on your keyboard, bring it down to the start of the H's and look for Harvard. Click Choose, and it'll reapply that referencing style across your entire document. There are a few other useful tools that you can use in this toolbar to help you get the most out of EndNote. So for example, if you are doing a large document like a thesis or dissertation, and you're using EndNote, you may end up with a number of individual chapters, each with their own individual bibliography. Of course, when you're printing this off for submission, you'll have to bring everything together into one master document and have one master bibliography. And EndNote will allow you to do this very easily. So all you've got to do is go into your EndNote toolbar, look for the Tools option. It's a drop-down menu, and click on Convert to Unformatted Citations. EndNote will remove the existing citations and replace them with what it calls a placeholder. And there's enough information here for EndNote to be able to uniquely identify those references in the library. You'll also notice that if you look at the very bottom of your document, your reference list or your bibliography has vanished. So you just have to do that for each of the chapters in your thesis or dissertation. And then when you're ready, select all the text in each of the chapters one by one and paste them into a new blank document in the right order, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and then reapply your referencing style using the update citations and bibliography button right underneath the style option. Click on that and it'll go through your entire document and reapply your chosen referencing style. In the same place, you'll also find an option to convert to plain text. This is important if you're submitting an article for publication. The publishers say that the desktop publishing packages they use would not work because of the EndNote coding, so you need to remove it. So it's really important that you pay attention when you're doing this. So if you click on convert to plain text, it's reminding me that I haven't saved this document because you need to end up with two versions of the document. One is the current document that you're working on with the EndNote coding, because you'll need to be able to work on that when they send back corrections and amendments. And you want to end up with a plain text version with all the EndNote coding. And remember, as we said earlier on, you can tell which of the documents has the EndNote coding. If you click on an in-text citation, it highlights itself in gray. That is the EndNote version. So if you're prompted to save, make sure you do save. So you'll always preserve the version with the EndNote coding. And then this version here, you can see nothing is happening when I click on the in-text citation. That is the plain text version. And this is the version then that you send off to the publisher. And when they come back, then you'll reopen the one with the EndNote coding and make your changes there. At the very start of this document, we said that one of the things we were going to show you is how you could add extra referencing styles to your version of EndNote. EndNote, as we've seen, does contain thousands of referencing styles, but there are more out there that you can use. We're also going to show you how you can add UCD-specific styles as well. So first of all, if we go to EndNote.com, and if you go into support, and finally, if we go to downloads, so there's over 7,000 plus output styles here. So to add an output style, just click on add, and you'll be given a search interface. So you can put in a keyword. So for example, I've just put in Harvard, for example, and click on search. It gives you every various option of Harvard. Pick the one that you think might be relevant, click on the download button, and you'll see it appearing once again in the bottom left-hand corner. And when it's finished downloading, just click on that file. It'll open up in EndNote, and then all you've got to do is File, Save As, and then click on Save. And that style is now available for you within EndNote. And to find the UCD specific styles, if you go to the library web page, go into Guides and Help, go into I am a student, scroll on down until you find Study Skills, click on Study Skills and look for EndNote. So this guide is always a useful place to come and look for information. We have guides, we have information how to use EndNote. My contact details are on the front page there, so you can always get in touch with me if you have a question. And to find the UCD specific referencing styles, just click on Further Help and Support. Scroll on down the left-hand side, you'll see a box that says UCD output styles. There's two Harvard styles. There's Harvard UCD and Harvard UCD Research, and the only difference between them is the number of authors that display in the reference list. Harvard UCD does up to 3, and then if there's 4 or more, it just does the first author and all the others are represented by et al. Harvard UCD Research does all of them. So pick the one that you're interested in, just click on it, it'll save, and just to be so with the Sage Harvard, you could open it up by clicking on it and then just go File, Save As, Harvard UCD, click Save. And now when you go into your Word document or into EndNote, that style will be available for you. So thank you very much for attending this training session. We hope that you found it useful. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch. As you saw, my contact details were in the EndNote guide, which we saw a few seconds ago. So feel free to email me. I'll also put my email address at the end of this presentation as well. So thank you very much for joining me in this training session. We hope you found this tutorial useful and that has answered some of, if not all of your questions for EndNote. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can contact me by emailing me at dermot.stokes@ucd.ie, or you can ring me at 716-6572. Thank you very much and hope you enjoy EndNote.